to podcast. I like your show.
How did I get here? Welcome to the Shipe Sports Show.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first ever live broadcast on YouTube of the Shipe Sports Talk Show. I am your host, Matthew Shipe, alongside my co-host and producer, Paul. How you doing today, Paul?
Grab doing well. How are you?
Good. Also joined by Brad through Skype. Brad, how you doing, buddy? And also our new special guest today, Guillermo Brad. Guillermo, how you doing today?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Good, good. Thank you all for joining me today. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into today on the show. We're going to talk some NFC, AFC championship games, what we liked, what we didn't like, how every team did. Then we're going to get into some Washington National news. I mean, they made some big moves since the last time Brad, me, and you talked. They went out, they traded Tyler Clipper away, and they signed free agent pitcher Matt Scherzer, the most highly sought free agent this year. Biggest splash. No one saw it coming, so we'll get into that a little bit later. But first, let's get right into the playoffs. Let's go with Packers and the Seahawks. Seahawks won the game 28-22 in overtime. My first thoughts on this game was the Packers dominated the Seahawks throughout the entire game. The defense held Russell Wilson in check. I mean, he threw 4 interceptions. And then with 5 minutes left, Seahawks they took the game away from the Packers. The Packers had the game in their draft. Seahawks forced a couple 3 and out. And it went from there. Seahawks, scored a touchdown, got the onside kick, scored another one, 2-point conversion. And then, the Packers went down, got the tying field goal, and then in overtime, Russell Wilson got the ball, 35-yard touchdown to Curse, and there it is. That's the end of the Packers season, over with. First, let's go with Brad. What were your thoughts on the game?
Well, you have to applaud Seattle for their relentless effort, playing down to the wire, never giving up when it seemed like this one really slipped out of their grasp, and they showed up very, very un-Seattle-like. They came out weak, came out soft. Packers really did a great job defensively, confusing Russell Wilson. Obviously, multiple interceptions, but then offensively, Eddie Lacy was able to get going. Rodgers was moving the ball well, so Seattle never quit. And they started doing whatever you had to do to win. And Green Bay, first thing you learn for these players when you're young is you play the whole game. So these guys really lost the mental edge that they had over Seattle, and you could tell that once the wheels started turning Seattle's way, Packers got nervous, they got closer, and then it unfolded the way it did. So Seattle credit, Packers. It's too bad.
All right, thanks for that, Brad. Guillermo, let's go over your thoughts on the game.
I mean, honestly, I didn't really care who won the game. Packers had it in their hands. The defense just let go. 2 mental mistakes on special teams and on, you could say on special teams, the onside kick, and then that touchdown that gave them the momentum to go in with the fake field goal and having Ryan with the touchdown. Green Bay played the blueprint perfectly to beat Seattle. They intimidated them, how Seattle intimidates every other team in the playoffs. I mean, they must have done their homework on them. Clearly, they were playing like Denver in the Super Bowl last year. Yeah, like four interceptions. Like guys were on them. They intimidated the receivers from the beginning. They intimidated Russell Wilson from the beginning, so they threw him out of his game. It's just, yeah. I mean, they said it. They said it was bad. It was a lucky game for them to win it, but luck's not going to be there next week or in 2 weeks against New England.
Yeah, I mean, luck was on their side. I mean, that 2-point conversion, that's horrible. I mean, Wilson went back to the 20-yard line, floated the ball up. I have no idea what the cornerback was doing there. That ball was in the air for a good 5 seconds, maybe even 10 seconds. And it should have been picked, should have been knocked down. How do you let the guy catch the ball? I mean, if you don't let him catch the ball, when Aaron Rodgers drives down the field, Packers are going to the Super Bowl against the Patriots. I mean, and then the onside kick, I feel bad for Rodgers. I mean, he dropped the onside kick. He was having such a good day. He was making good catches for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he had 4 receptions, 35 yards. You feel bad for a guy like that. it's horrible. I mean, I can't imagine what he was going through at the end. But that defense for the Packers, I mean, they came to play. Morgan Burnett, 2 sacks, one interception. Clay Matthews, 1 sack. Clinton Dixon had 2 interceptions. Sam Shields 1. And Julius Peppers. Everyone thought he was winding down the end of his career. He had a great season for this Packer team. He had 1.5 sacks Sunday. It was a great season all around. It was great for the Packers. They had a great season. And, the question wonders is, what happened if they have the healthy Aaron Rodgers? If you look at that final drive, Rodgers, the last pass he did to Nelson to set up the field goal, he had the open space. He thought about running, but you could tell he stopped himself from running and threw it to Rodgers instead. I mean, if he had the space for first down, if you have a healthy Rodgers without the torn calf, he may have got the first down. We don't know for sure. I mean, he'll come back next year strong as ever. And this Packer team, mark my words, is not going nowhere for a while. They improve their defense. They'll have B.J. Raji back next year. You improve on that. Their run defense will be better. I really think Raji makes a difference because with Raji in the lineup, I don't see Lynch going for 157 against his team in a touchdown because, I mean, in that middle, Raji's a big guy. I mean, he will block holes. But, injuries happen, and they'll just have to wait till next season. I mean, give it to Wilson. I mean, towards the final drive, they started running the more read option, and Packers didn't see it all game, and when they threw it out in the fourth quarter, the Packers weren't ready for it, and that's what happens. I mean, they kept it till when they needed it the most, and it worked. And like I said last week, I said the Packers had to get Lacey going, which they did. He had more yards in the first game they had. He had 73. It's just Rodgers. I mean, 178 yards. I mean, you may need more than that. And also the field goals. I mean, they had too many field goals. I mean, they forced all these turnovers and just got field goals after field goals. They didn't score on them. They had the one on the 1-yard line the first quarter. They got called back. Jonathan Kuhn, who everyone thought was in but wasn't. You add those points, and the game is theirs. I mean, it's just a couple calls go their way, anything goes their way, and Packers are in the Super Bowl. But you know what? This is playoff time. You got to finish games, and they didn't finish, and sadly the Seahawks took advantage of it.
Yeah, Shipe, I think you're absolutely right. One thing, though, you can't just assume that if Rodgers was healthy, they would have won this game. There was special team problems that when Rodgers wasn't on the field, there's nothing you could do. Like when your team gives up a passing touchdown to your holder, how is that Rodgers' fault? Or not recovering that onside kick, how is that Rodgers' fault? In my opinion, Rodgers did everything he could have to put them in position to win. I mean, they were up 16-0 at halftime. Like, there's no reason that defense and that special teams should have lost that game for Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers.
That special team play touchdown was great. I mean, even I was faked on it. I was like, where's the ball at? I mean, that was Seahawks. They did everything they could to win the game, and they did. They brought out all the stops, and that faked field goal, I mean, A.J. Hawk had 2 options. Either he goes for the passer or he goes for the receiver, and sadly he chose wrong.
Yep.
All right, we're going to get into the next game now, which was the Colts versus the Patriots. And, God, this game
if you call
was
that
just
a game.
45-7. I mean, the Patriots pretty much said, we're going to the Super Bowl. And, God, from the get, I mean, I don't know what you say about this game. It was horrible. Colts, I mean, Andrew Luck, he's young. He's in his 3rd year. He's going to have his more opportunities. But, God, I wish they would put up more of a fight. I mean, this was a horrible game. I mean, Brady didn't even have a spectacular game. I mean, he only threw for 226, but he did have 3 touchdowns. He had 1 interception. And like we said last week, you want to beat the Colts, what they do in the first time they play them? They ran the ball. What they do this time? LeGarrette Blount, 148, 3 touchdowns. I mean, can't win a game if you can't stop the run. Andrew Luck, he'll be back. He'll be back in this situation again. I mean, he had a horrible game. He went 12 for 33, 126 yards, 2 interceptions. It was not his best game. And I said last week when I was talking to Brad that they had to get the run game going. Dan Herron didn't get going at all. I mean, he only had 10 carries, 51 yards. I mean, they couldn't get any offense on offense, and their defense didn't come to play, and Tom Brady just did what Tom Brady does. He lit them up.
Where'd they play?
In New England.
Oh,
Yeah,
did they?
Foxborough.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So there was actually people in the seats towards the end of the game.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, you mean like the fans
Denver
of the
game.
Seahawks that left?
yeah.
Seahawks, man.
Yeah.
like the Miami Heat game.
Miami Heat all over again. Yeah, I bet you those fans were felt stupid.
Yeah, that was a beating though, man.
Brad, what were your thoughts on the game?
Well, Shipe, I think you're absolutely right. New England did everything that they needed to do to win this football game. They strategized. and that's nothing outside the Patriots. Obviously they've been extremely well run for years, and that team's prepared for every single game. But when you think about this game, the Patriots were better than the Colts. How much better? We found out. I think both you and I projected Patriots will win this game, which they did, and it was just a matter of how much better are the Patriots than the Colts. Credit to the Patriots. They did a great job locking down Ty, taking that target away from Andrew Luck, putting a double coverage on him, and then having Rebus and Browner locked down on the other receivers. It was an incredibly great strategy. Literally getting Ty out of the game where Luck had really no other options, and then they couldn't run the football. Will Fork was big in the middle. Just dominant game. For the Patriots, they looked absolutely great. Game plan was great. They looked healthy. They're gonna be tough next in the Super Bowl.
And they really ran that weird formation that I didn't really see them run until this game, where they brought out they have a Shane Vereen that comes out and he's not a qualified receiver, and they push him in the backfield and they run all these routes that just no one really never seen before. And Bill Belichick, he knows how to win. The guy doesn't have much of a personality, but he can win a game.
Yeah, he doesn't talk much, but in terms of his football IQ, it's obviously out of the roof. Look at his success that he's had.
At least he talks more than Marshawn Lynch.
True.
Well, there's nothing you can do there with Lynch. Something's wrong with him. But yeah, with New England, the surprising thing about New England is you never know who's gonna be like the key player in the game. It could be Gronk one game, it could be Brady, it could be Edelman. Like, I didn't expect Blunt to do it. Even though he did it last year or the last time they played the Colts, it was like unbelievable. And I didn't expect Vereen or anybody. I thought Gray was gonna get more action involved, but like Amendola the game before when he had those 2 touchdowns, it's like Belichick has like a special IQ there where he knows like he's gonna. It's like if he draws a hat and draws a name out of the hat, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna choose you to lead us to the victory.
You know what? Give props to the Patriots for going out and getting LeGarrette Blount. The guy left a game early when it was in Pittsburgh, and Belichick went out, re-got him again, and tell you what, Belichick seems to have a way of making people play past, with problems, except for Hainsworth.
I think it was the way that he used him. Where was Blunt? In Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, they weren't really. They
didn't know how to use him because they had Bell there.
And the thing was about when he was in Pittsburgh was you have Le'Veon Bell. He would have been a great change of pace back there, but they didn't use him. They just ran with Bell, and I thought that they underutilized him in Pittsburgh. He comes back, and Belichick knows how to use him. Belichick knows how to coach.
See, but that's their whole environment. The Patriots are built around everyone knowing what to do at every minute so that everyone can be successful, and they don't care who gets the credit.
Yeah,
they really don't.
They all
they
know
just
their
want
roles.
to win. That's a winning mentality in that organization. Everyone is a winner, and that stems from coaching. So if it's your night, everyone is prepared for it to be their night.
The funny thing is about that organization is you never hear anything bad about them. The deflate the football thing.
There's a couple things, Spygate. There's a couple things.
There's a couple things, but it's not really. I don't even know what to say about this deflate the football. Really?
What are they talking about with that? Like, I caught like a quick news.
I saw the
clip on
video.
it,
I didn't see anything there.
They're saying they
just
switched the balls in the bad to where they're less deflated. Like, honestly, the score, I don't think it would have made a difference whether it was deflated or inflated or not.
The defense wouldn't have really cared
if
the balls were deflated or not.
What do you think, Brad? Do you think that made a difference?
Well, you said LeGarrette Blount had 3 rushing touchdowns. I don't know how a deflated ball has anything to do with you just giving it right to his stomach and him running through people. No, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's laughable. This is a joke with the deflated football. It's like, come on, let's move on. They dominated.
So what's that gonna help the team out? Like, I've never played any kind of organized football before, other than just playing in my backyard. But
it's
what
easier
is
to catch. Easier
to
catch and throw if it's a little bit softer.
I gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's like
easier
more
to
of
make a grip.
So if you try to, because if you have a fully
It's hard to
pumped
put
up ball.
hard to put a grip around, but if it's deflated a little bit, you can get your whole hand, get a firm grip on it.
Well, what they were talking about was the ball that they had was a kicking ball. It was like a difference from kicking ball through a regular like standard ball.
Oh, that's weird. Okay.
Sorry, wouldn't made a difference. Patriots were going to win that game.
It wouldn't have.
That's just, I mean, like, because they would have, like, don't they already wear these, like, sticky hands, like, gloves or
Yeah.
whatever that makes it easier to catch? So, I mean, I don't know. That, like, whole thing didn't really make sense to me.
I just think Indianapolis blew it out on Denver. They gave everything on Denver and then totally forgot they had.
By the way, Brad Guillermo, did y'all catch what Grant said about the ball?
Yeah, he said it's because he spikes it too hard when he throws touchdowns.
Grant. Never a dull moment with that guy.
That's a good one.
Let's go right back to the Seahawks game real quick. 2 key injuries on that defense that could affect Super Bowl is Richard Sherman sprained his elbow. And this is what gets me. He sprained his elbow. He goes back in. Obviously, you see him holding his arm like this.
And that's
go after him.
That's the main question.
He can't tackle. Obviously, it's hard to tackle, period. But with one arm, go after the guy. He has one arm. What are you doing?
As good as Rodgers is, I thought he would have saw that and gone right to him.
I would have thrown a screen pass to Lacey and said, "Come at me, Sherman."
Obviously, Sherman was going to go after Lacey.
No. And then
Earl for Chancellor or somebody to hit him hard.
And then Earl Thomas dislocated his shoulder, and he says he's going to be ready. But I talked to Brad this week. Yeah, at any moment your shoulder can pop back out. I don't care if you take a cortisone shot. It ain't going to save your shoulder from popping back out.
Yeah, I mean, your body's been weakened. It's going to take more time to heal. It's, dislocated shoulder, you would think, okay, just pop it right back into place and you're good to go. No, it doesn't work like that. These injuries, take time to heal. I know Earl Thomas is going to play because he's a competitor. Sherman's going to play because he's a competitor. How effective will they be? We'll find out.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, next week our show will be moving to Thursday, and we'll discuss the Super Bowl then because I feel like it's too early to go into any Super Bowl talk because you still have to see what happens with the injuries. Who's going to play, who's not going to play, and I feel like next Thursday is a great opportunity to talk about that. I think it's 2 weeks away because we have this thing called a Pro Bowl game coming up, which I think is a joke in the NFL. It's a joke. Honestly,
I think they should change it up like they do in basketball or in baseball. Whoever wins the game gets like home field advantage or something.
You can't do that though because Super Bowl's a national thing. I think they should bring in a skill competition. Give me a skill competition. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, those are fun
Back
to watch.
in Hawaii, yeah, I would love to see that again.
Yeah, somewhat like what the NBA does, dunk contest. No one necessarily too much about the skills dribbling contest and the 3-point shooting contest is okay. But yeah, maybe if they try to do something like that where
make your quarterbacks throw in a target like a tire or something.
At least get the fans involved.
40-yard dash competition.
They love it.
Yeah, 4-yard dash pass, pass, punt and kick competition. Something like that where you kind of reduce the injury percentage by quite a margin and still make it entertaining.
Can we all agree if they had a catch competition, Odell Beckham Jr. would already win that? Just give him the trophy?
I think Megatron would have something to say about that.
I think Des Bryant will have a better chance.
I used to watch that stuff when I was younger, though, a lot. They used to have that on all the time, didn't they?
What, the dunk contest and stuff?
Well, no, I mean just like the skills challenge.
They did used to have that in the NFL, I believe, yeah. Because Darryl Green won like the 40 competition every year he was in it.
Well, that might date my age, but I remember like watching that when I was younger. That used to be fun to watch.
Well, they said they were going to bring back veterans 40-yard dash.
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of the veterans coming back and doing it.
What I did hear about the veterans is they're having a free agency combine this year. Did you all hear about that? They're doing a combine for free agency this year, so you can go out and show, look, I can still work the NFL.
Tim Tebow.
Yeah. I think Tebow's making a good amount of money at the ESPN. I don't think he needs to do anything.
Yeah, just with his words, not his arm.
Speaking of, like All-Star and Pro Bowl games, I still feel, maybe I'm a little biased because I love baseball, but I feel like baseball has the best All-Star game just because everyone loves the home run derby. And also, their All-Star game is the only one that matters. Like, if you win, your team gets you get home field through the playoffs. And I wish, since the NBA and NHL do theirs in the middle of the season, I wish they would transfer that the same way the MLB does, because I feel like the NBA is more of like a globetrotter game. All they do is, dunks, all this other stuff. If you made it matter,
there's no defense involved.
Yeah, if you made it matter, I think it'd be a little bit more interesting. I mean, I don't know how you two agree, but I think I think the NBA and NHL should change to where it matters as well.
I think that's dangerous though, Shipe, because the significant amount of more contact that's involved in those sports really puts, injuries into perspective, and I don't think the owners will go for it. I think if you have Andrew Luck and you got DeMarcus Ware pinning his ears back, gonna try and knock his face off, no way. Dan Irsay has no business with any of that. He doesn't want that at all.
Well, no, not for the NFL Pro Bowl. I mean more for the NBA, NHL, where those matters, just like the MLB, since they're both halfway through the season for home field.
I could definitely see those more than NFL, but I just think, obviously there's no defense played in the NBA All-Star game. It's just a showboating kind of globetrotter sort of event that they put on kind of for the fans, where you can showcase some dunks, try and drop 50, whatever the case may be. I wonder what the owners would say if they changed that and players started going a little bit harder. I just don't know. I don't know if the owners would be okay with it.
Yeah, the owner is one thing, but I don't like the players as well. Like the fans that select the NBA players, like half of them don't even play defense. Harden, he barely plays. Carmelo, he doesn't even play a lick of defense at all.
Don't get me started on fan voting, because a couple years ago, Tracy McGrady barely played anymore, and he made the All-Star game.
They had
So
one with Allen Iverson.
I don't want to
Allen
hear
Iverson
about
played like
fan
3
voting.
games, and they asked him. Kobe Bryant as well. He was injured like half the season. Played like 2 games, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we want him."
Well,
on the
it's
thing.
like last year, I think Matt Winters was an MLB All-Star, and he only played for a month of the season. How does that happen? What do you think, Brad? You think a month of the season you deserve to be an All-Star?
Well,
if you hit a home run every day of that month, yeah.
If you're an All-Star, that's what's tricky about the fan vote. Like, if Kevin Durant didn't play a game right now, do you still think he's an All-Star?
They would put him in.
It's a popular vote.
But I'm asking you, Matt, is Kevin Durant an All-Star even if he hasn't scored a point this season because he hasn't been playing? You tell me.
In terms of career, yes. In terms of this year, no, because he didn't deserve to make the All-Star game this year because he hasn't played yet. But in terms of career and everything, yeah, he's an All-Star.
Okay, so who's going in his place?
There's the question.
That's pretty tough.
There's the question.
The West has a bunch of guys.
That guy's more of an All-Star than Durant.
Probably.
I get the fan vote in a sense. Sure, you should go kind of based off stats and production versus a fan vote. But, I mean, the fans don't usually get it too wrong. Obviously, with Allen Iverson, 3 games, that might have been kind of like a courtesy. Let's put him in there one last time because he was great for the league and he's electric. But, yeah, if they were going to start taking it a little bit more serious, put more emphasis on this game, you'd have to start going based on figures rather than a fan vote.
Yeah, but actually, All-Star game I'm starting to like now, and you're not an MLS fan. I love when MLS soccer they face the European teams, like when they face like Chelsea or Bayern Munich. I think it's kind of cool to see Americans All-Stars face against Europe and see how much terrible we are compared to Europeans.
I think that's more of a joke.
I mean, it's nice to see how we match up against Europe's best, and it never works out in our favor.
I would rather see retired greats go against MLS stars.
Speaking of retired greats, Ronaldo's coming back.
Yep. Fort Lauderdale Strikers.
Mm-hmm.
Got 10% of the team.
It's done?
Well, he already signed for 10% of the team, so he owns 10%. And then he said, "I'm gonna have a tryout with them, see what I can do."
Oh wow.
I mean, he hasn't been kept in shape, but loses about 15 pounds. You should be good to go.
While we talk about soccer, Brad's just learning about soccer right now.
I know about soccer.
It's over the bar, not over it.
Oh no, I don't know about soccer. You're right.
All right, we're going to switch gears here and go right into baseball. We got to talk Nationals. I mean, from when me and Brad were on last week, I mean, they made 2 moves. I mean, we lost Tyler Clippard to the A's. We got Escobar, who plays shortstop, but will probably be converted to second base. The Rizzo Billabine connection strikes again. And then the big news, at Monday morning at 2 a.m., the Nationals officially announced they signed pitcher Matt Scherzer, formerly of the Detroit Tigers, for 7 years, $210 million. Was he worth it? What do you think, guys? Brad, let's go to you first.
Okay, I'll go first. I say yes. I say yes, he's worth it. You look at Detroit's team, and they've kind of been doing something similar to what the Nationals have been doing, which is putting together an incredible rotation. they went and picked up Price last year, and then they had Scherzer, obviously now a national, and Verlander at the time was pitching a little bit better, but now that Detroit doesn't have Scherzer and the Nationals do, you really gotta the way the Nats look in terms of best rotation in the MLB. They really do. I think it's a great pickup, and I'm happy he's gonna be rocking the red.
A lot of people may disagree with this, but I think your opening day starter is Scherzer over Strasburg. I mean, I would go with him opening day. You almost hate to say it, but Strasburg is probably the number 3 pitcher on the staff behind Scherzer and Zimmerman now. I mean, National fans, they love Strasburg. They don't want to admit it, but he is potentially the number 3 starter on this team now. And that's saying something about this rotation.
What about Fister?
I mean, he
Fister,
can make it.
Fister, he has a good case of making it in the third.
All these pitchers now are all number 1s.
And then Gio had a bad year last year.
Yeah, Gio didn't do so well. I mean, 2012 was his best year, and then he kind of just started going a little bit downhill as both years. But it should be a bounce back year. But I mean, look at this rotation this year. It could be Scherzer 1, Strasburg 2, Zimmerman 3, Fister 4, Gio 5. All potential number 1 starters anywhere else they could go. I mean, how much better can you get? I mean, number 2 question is, what do you do when you make the playoffs with that roster? Who do you put in and who do you not put in the playoffs?
Your first 4.
I almost feel like we faced that very scenario last season, where it was like, who do you put in? Rourke's playing well, and I don't know. We're gonna find out, but I like the upside. I'm excited about that. So.
I was hearing some rumblings that they were might be having to get rid of or trade off Zimmerman because there might be some caps, money caps or something like that.
Well,
is that right?
Zimmerman becomes a free agent this year, and the way he's been playing, he's going to get money. He may be looking at $180, $200 million type of money. I think, in my opinion, the way he's been pitching lately. And the thing is, you're going to have Strasburg coming out 2015, then you have Fister also next year, so you got to pick who you keep, who you go. So if you trade Zimmerman off now, you can get trade value for him, which the Nationals could use in late inning relievers now that we got rid of Tyler Clippard, or you give him the money and then you potentially trade off Strasburg or Fister, which I may get butchered by Nats fans for this, but I'd rather trade Strasburg and keep Zimmerman and Fister both, because I feel like if you trade Strasburg, I mean that's more millions, hundreds of millions of dollars that he's going to want because he's Steven Strasburg. But I feel like Zimmerman's a better pitcher, and I feel like Fister, he's doing better than Strasburg right now. So if the Nationals would trade Strasburg, I wouldn't have any issue with it. I don't know how you two feel. You two are baseball people like me, but I have no problem with them if they trade Strasburg this offseason.
I mean, if it's coming down to that, where Strasburg's going to leave, I mean, I'll put him to the bullpen, see what he can do there. Maybe he can.
He's not gonna want that. If you tell Strasburg he's going to the bullpen, he's gonna demand to be traded.
Maybe that'll help out his career, give him a little boost or something. I mean, but if you're gonna tell him to leave, he's probably gonna go. He's probably gonna stick it to them, sign me to another divisional rival. I want to go there and do work.
What do you think, Brad?
Well, I think this season and the specifically the first couple months of the season is going to be a show me sort of thing. We're all good. You all are going to have to elevate your performance now, so we know where the weak link is. And if we need to get rid of that, then we'll get rid of that. So right now the Nationals are in such a good position. We're very deep at pitcher, and we have lots of guys who can step up and have the potential to pitch, 1.5 ERA, 2 ERAs. It's just a matter of who's going to do it. So I think the first couple months of the season is the coaching staff looking at these guys saying, show me, we know you're all good. Who is willing to elevate and take it to the next level, and show why you deserve to stay on this elite rotation.
Well, after we signed Scherzer, I went back and I averaged out the last 3 years, not including Rourke, because last year was his first full year. And Rourke last year went 15-10 with a 2.85 ERA, and he was a third in the Cy Young. And that's a third in Cy Young voting last year. He potentially could be moved to the bullpen. But in the last 3 years, Strasburg's been the worst pitcher out of all those other 5 people. He's been the worst. And I mean, the only thing he has up for everyone is K's, but even Scherzer's had a higher K average through year. And right now, Strasburg's looking like the odd. I think he's not the odd man in. It's obviously going to be Rourke, but I mean, in terms of stats, I mean, he's not the best right now. I mean, you can't really measure Rourke right now because, like I say, he only 1 year. But my thing with Rourke is, here's the thing with him: if you move him to the bullpen, you just lost Tyler Clippard. Rourke used to be a reliever. Maybe you could put him in a setup role because, I mean, I know you have Jeremy Blevins, who wasn't really that good last year. You have Matt Thornton, which is a lefty. You may need a right-hander to mix in there. You have Aaron Barrett, who I hope will come on because I felt like, watching him, he could be the potential closer, but now you have Storm back in there. Barrett may settle in the setup role, but I feel like Rourke could be used in that role and also a middle reliever. He'll definitely be a long reliever in case any help, but you got to find a way to utilize Rourke. You can't just have him as a long reliever because a lot of these pitchers they have now, they have to go 7 innings. These pitchers can't be out after 5 or 6. But you have to find a way to utilize Rourke. I mean, middle reliever, setup man, they have to use Rourke. You can't just have him as a long reliever and have him pitch, like once every 7 days. He needs to be utilized, and I hope they do utilize him because his story was also great. I mean, a minor leaguer guy just came up last year. First full season, third in the Cy Young, like I said. They got to find a way to utilize him, and it may be a setup role. But speaking of the bullpen, you lose Tyler Clippard. And
Big loss.
I was telling Brad, and I told you, Guillermo, I didn't like it because if Storing gets hurt, this club is screwed, in my opinion. I mean, Clippard, I trust to go in to be a closer. Aaron Barrett hasn't proven himself. Thornton, he has his up and downs. I mean, he's a hard-throwing left-hander, but I just feel like if Storing goes down, this team could be in trouble.
Well, let's pray that doesn't happen. Because then you're going to be asking your starters to go finish complete games.
Well, Storm's been healthy. What do you think about that, Brad?
I think that is a predicament that is scary and lingering over the Nationals' head. I obviously I hope that they don't have to face that scenario, but if they do, then yeah, you're going to look back at that trade with Clippard and scratch your head a little bit and say, wow. Wish we would have held on to him because now we're kind of put in a pinch.
But I mean, I do trust Rizzo. I mean, he's never done us wrong in terms of trades, so we'll see what happens. But Escobar, he wasn't really a big name. I thought they would get. I thought they'd maybe get like Zubadis or something, or maybe be able to re-sign Cabrera. He's not really a big name guy. I mean, last year he hit for 258. 7 home runs, 39 RBIs. I mean, he's not going to be, like a Cabrera who can come in and maybe hit like a home run here and there. He's going to be bottom of the order, batting 8th, right behind Ramos, Harper, and Desmond. So hopefully this guy can bump, because his career average is 276. Obviously, he played well below that last year. So we're going to need that 276 average. I don't need Danny Espinosa numbers. I need someone better than that. So hopefully this trade works out to where we found a second baseman. And, I mean, honestly, his glove wasn't the best either. I mean, he was losing range, they said, from shortstop. So maybe moving to second will help him out. But, God, I'm going to miss Cabrera. I mean, even though he played for only half the season, that guy made a difference at second base.
I mean, with adding Scherzer to the rotation, I mean, I read an article today saying they're the favorites, like a candidate for favorites to win the World Series. If they have those 5 starters healthy throughout the whole season, I was like, going in, who do you think will be the first, like, the starter? Like, if they make it to the World Series, who's going to be game 1? I mean, can you base it now? Or do you have, like, I mean, wait during the season, yeah, of course. But, like, who would you see right now having a good season starting out 1?
If I had to pick one to be game 1, Jordan Zimmerman for me. I'm picking Zimmerman. What he did last season in the postseason, I would go Zimmerman, Brad. I mean, who would you go with a game 1 starter if you had a playoff game tomorrow night?
That's so hard to say right now, but I know Zim had a great year last year. So did Scherzer. I think it'd probably be one of those two, unless somehow Strasburg starts pitching like he was before. Before he hurt himself. Obviously his ceiling is very high. We saw him when he first started coming into the league, and he was dominant. So we know this guy can pitch at a very high level and can be completely dominant.
And he's been consistent over the past 3 years. Like, it wasn't just 2 years ago when he won the Cy Young and last year. This guy's been consistent since he came in the league. And it's funny that not many people really knew about him till he won the Cy Young. He was, he was under the radar, pitching well. He wasn't getting the recognition. Then once, he had that 21-win season, it's like, whoa, this guy's for real. This guy's gonna make money. I mean, he turned down 140 million last year because he probably knew, hey, I'm gonna make more if I go one more season, not as a free agent. And sure enough, he did.
What did he end up getting?
210 million
for 7 years, but
they're going to be paying him for 14
years.
years.
He asked for a 14-year, like 15 mil each year.
Yeah.
So he's getting 15 mil for 14 years.
So this guy's going to be retired from baseball and still making money.
Sign me up.
He's in good shape.
Quite the retirement plan.
I could take a ball anytime. Nationals hit me up.
That's a lot of cash, man.
It is. I mean, I can think of a lot of things I can do with that cash.
All right, but you have pitching now. I mean,
Now you need
when
the
I saw,
bats.
that's what I was gonna say. The bats need to be awake during playoff time.
Like I said, the only bat we only had 2 bats alive last postseason. That was Bryce Harper, and that was Anthony Rendon. I tell you what, they want to pay someone. They break ready to pay Anthony Rendon money.
Yeah, Rendon.
Rendon's becoming. You have Ryan Zimmerman as the face. Rendon's also becoming a little bit of the face of the franchise. I feel like when Ryan Zimmerman's time is done and he's retired, I feel like Rendon, not Strasburg, not Harper, it'll be Rendon that will become the new face of the franchise, in my own opinion, the way he's playing and the way he's loved by fans. I mean, what do you two think about that?
Go ahead, Guillermo.
Yeah, I mean, he's the silent creeper coming up. I mean, nobody's like really knew to who he was until like the minors, and then started creeping up slowly, and then had a couple of good games, and then turned it into a good season, just coming out of the minors and everything. Yeah, I see him as a future, a better, probably not a better future than Harper, like popularity wise, but like overall consistent, like 280 hitter maybe, but will help out the team. Get some W's in there.
Yeah, no, I like both your calls on that. You look at Rendon, his baseball IQ is out of the roof. He's an extremely good hitter. He's very patient, and his fielding is fantastic. He's got a great arm. Very easily, that guy could lead this franchise, the Nationals, when Zimmerman's time is up, and he could be the new face of the Nationals because his abilities are out of the roof, and his baseball IQ and awareness is fantastic as well.
I mean, he was the top hitter in that draft class he was in. The Nationals somehow got lucky enough to get him. I mean, I'm surprised all these teams passed. I feel like the Nationals, they really know how to draft players. I mean, they drafted Lucas Giolito, who everyone passed on because of arm injuries. Now the guy's the top pitcher in the minors. I mean, that's another thing that people don't really seem to, why the Nationals aren't really concerned about losing pitchers if they can't sign them, is they have all these young pitchers in the minors that are, 1 or 2 years away from coming up. But when these pitchers come up, I mean, Giolito's projected to be a number 1 pitcher sooner or later. I mean, this guy, he's a hard thrower. I mean, he just came off Tommy John surgery, and I tell you what, the Nationals do a really good job of rehabbing people with Tommy John surgery. I mean, they always come back stronger than ever. Brad?
No, that's a good call. You look at the Nationals, and their farm system is top notch right now. The way that we're able to draft and develop these players, the Nationals could really, really make a massive charge in the next 5 years of presenting themselves in contention to win World Series and winning World Series.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they got potential to do like what the Giants are doing and winning World Series constantly. They're not every year, but every once or 3 years, you get in there and win the World Series. They have potential to do that. They need to get over that hump of the first round, and they need to get over the hump of not losing to the wild card team. That's two playoff series in a row they've lost to the wild card team, and if they can get over, I feel like if they get out of the first round and they get that confidence, it could be smooth sailing from there. I mean, that's what they need. They need the confidence of knowing, hey, we can get out of the first round. Right now, they don't have that confidence. As soon as they can get out of the first round, the skies is the roof for this team.
They've got the keys to do it. I mean, don't get me wrong. You got 5 great starters now. Just the bats got to wake up, and as soon as the bats wake up, yeah, I think they're one team not to mess with in the playoffs. And I will, as much as I'm a Yankee fan, don't get me wrong, but I would love to see like a World Series in Washington. I would love to see that. every fan would love to see that. I think it'll be good for Washington.
Tell you what, I went to my first postseason game last year. It was game 1. You know, they lost. Strasburg on the Hill. You know, they lost the game. But I tell you what, the atmosphere of a playoff game here in Washington, it's amazing. I mean, last year we experienced it with the Nationals. We experienced it with the Wizards. It was amazing. I mean, all the fans in
Couple years
there.
ago with the Redskins.
Yeah, maybe a while till we hear that again. Sorry, Brad.
A little while at least.
I had to take my shot at them. You know that.
I mean, it was the same
we're
thing
here.
with the Wizards when they had Gilbert and Karan and Jameson, back to back seasons where they went to the playoffs, just couldn't get it over Cleveland. But the atmosphere was huge. I think like the Wizards this year, they got a good chance, just like the Nationals got a good chance. So DC is rising.
I think last year, actually, the Wizards, when they played Indiana, I think they should have won that series. I think they let a couple of those games go. I mean, they gave Indiana all they could. I mean, they completely destroyed a Derrick Rose-less
Chicago.
Bulls, but Chicago, even with Derrick Rose, still don't look that good. But real quick, the Nationals, something I was reading on today, since we talked about the setup man, is Blake Trinan, who came in, does some starts. They're looking for him to be could be a potential reliever setup man. Because, transition from starter to reliever is actually hard because you have to go through different motions. So he gets ready to start a game is completely different just from coming in and relieving. So, some of these pitchers, like Rourke, he'll have to transition to that, but I think he can do it because he already did it. But, we'll have to wait and see. Pitchers and catchers are a month away from important. I tell you what, I'm excited. I'm getting ready for baseball season, man. Once Super Bowl season.
Looking good.
Once 2 weeks is done, Super Bowl's over with, I'm in baseball mode.
It's gonna be fun. That's for sure.
But what's going on right now is let's got our Wizards and we got our Nationals talking. Let's talk a little Wizards here. I know both of you guys are basketball fans. We have a Spurs fan right across from me. Hey Brad, didn't the Wizards just play the Spurs last week?
I think we did. I'm trying to remember how that game ended.
I believe the Wizards won, wasn't it?
That's right.
They
We
did win.
Well, I think that was like their first win against the Spurs in maybe 10 years.
Oh,
Maybe.
come on.
Hey, win's a
Come
win.
on.
We'll take it.
I've gone to every Spurs game against the Wizards for the last 7 years, and they have not won one. Last year, when it took them to double overtime, for sure I thought the Spurs were going to lose.
That was a great game.
The Wizards put on a hell of a game, and just this year they totally beat us. We didn't want to win. Clearly, turnovers, Ginobili turning over games, turning over the ball all the time. Just the Wizards' future is looking really high right now.
They are looking amazing.
Yeah, you look at the Wizards versus the Spurs, and you look at the average age of the starting lineup, and we're looking to get out and run. Our backcourt is young and electric, and we're looking to speed the game up as best we can. And Wall has really come into his own this year. Looks like finally his body is or his mind is catching up with his body, and he can put it all together. Because he's always been fast. It's just he's kind of been wild with it. This year it looks like finally he's under control and everything's working. And Beal is knocking down shots. Butler has been a great emergence for us. And then Nene and Gortat constantly giving us good minutes. Leadership of Humphreys and Pierce off the bench. The Wizards are a
Don't
great
forget about
team.
Rashul Butler, who's coming out of nowhere and being a great sixth man.
I said that.
Yeah, he mentioned him.
But yeah, no, the Wizards are in great shape right now, and they are on the rise. They got young players who are playing at a high level already, which is exciting. And then you look at the Spurs, where they've had tons of success. Guillermo, you mentioned how they do beat us on a routine basis, but now that they're getting a little bit older, their studs are kind of falling off a little bit. Not that I won't still credit with Parker and Duncan and Ginobili as being some of the best in the league. They still are. But you just look at them, body type, abilities now compared to Wall and Beal and Nene and Gortat, and everyone has to deal with Father Time. And it looks like the Spurs are just getting a little bit older and don't maybe have what it takes to get over that edge anymore.
Also, another thing about the Wizards this year is what I'm noticing is, last year and, the past couple of years when they would lose a game, you would see them go on a losing streak. This year, they would lose a game, and they'll come right back and win 2, 3, or 4 games. They had the 3-game losing streak they had where they got blown out by Dallas. kept it really close against OKC, kept it close against the Spurs the first game. Spurs got away, but then they lost 3 in a row. And then what they do? They won 3 in a row again. Then they went. Then they lost, win 2. They lost, and they now just won 2. So I mean, the thing is, they're not having really big losing streaks. I mean, they may have the one where they had 3, may have a 2-game one, but then they win 2, 3, or 4 in a row, and that's what the really big difference is. They're losing, but they're not getting down themselves. They're like, all right, we can get back and do this. I mean, this is a different. I mean, this team I think is better than the team where Gilbert was on. To be honest, with Karan, you had Karan Butler, you had Antoine Jameson. I think this team is better than that one.
That's a big deal for like a fringe fan like myself, where like I don't really follow them, but I'll watch it every once in a while. If they're losing consistently, like after like 2 or 3 games, I check out for a little while until maybe they start, winning again. But for them to be able to do that, it kind of keeps a fringe fan like myself to just, keep on them or keep watching or just kind of, I don't know, just kind of piques my interest a little bit more when they are winning for sure. I mean, obviously what doesn't, but.
Well, the first game of the year where they lost to Miami 107-95, I'm like, great, they have all this talent, and here we go again. And then they
they got to work. They got to work on the chemistry.
Yeah, but then they won 4 in a row. And they lost to Toronto, won 3 in a row. Lost to Dallas, and they won 2 in a row, and they beat Cleveland.
I think like what Brad said about Paul Pierce's leadership. I think that's what.
Oh yeah.
That's what's changing them from going 3-game losing streak and actually winning 3 or 4.
They're not missing I mean, I hate to say, it, but
I
they're
think
not
Pierce
missing a reason.
Yeah, I think. Oh no.
They're not missing a reason.
You got Butler who's like 40% from 3. You got Chris Humphries who gives you at least like a good 10 points, like on like a constant basis, and then you got an MVP caliber John Wall, who like is basically like Gilbert Arenas from the back in the old days. Yeah, I mean I see what you're trying to say with this team being better than the team before. I mean, I'm all hands up for it. I think this team could be better than the big 3 that we had a couple years ago.
If you two may agree with me, you know what game I have circled on my calendar right now, look at the schedule? It's a month from now, but February 24th, they play Golden State. I am looking forward to that game to see what they do against Golden State, because that will be Golden State. I believe they're number 1 in the West.
Yeah.
And you got number 2 in the East, Wizards. This
will
be a good matchup to see what they are, how they are.
I would love to see.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, go ahead, Paul.
No, you can go, Fred.
Go, bro.
Okay. You look at a team like Golden State, and they're high flying. They are very fast, and they score in bunches really quick. Between Curry knocking down shots, and just, they get scoring from everywhere. The Wizards, I don't think, put up as many points as Golden State. I think we are a little bit more of a defensively and half court oriented type of team. Not that we can't get out and run, we do, but I don't think we do as much as Thompson and Curry. They really like to get out and run. We try and maintain possessions a little bit more. So it's going to be interesting to see if we can slow the game down for them, or if they can try and pick the game up for us and get us out of our comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah, because the Warriors, they do play that quick and tempoed, fast West Coast offense. And yeah, if you stop their play and slow it down and everything, and Curry and Klay Thompson are gonna get frustrated, and they're like, no, we want to go fast, we want to do this, we want to do that. I mean, either way, I think John Wall can hang with Steph Curry going.
I was about to say that's the good thing about having John Wall.
Fast breaks and everything.
And his speed is he can get up and down the court pretty quick. So if Curry tries to get on a breakaway, I believe Wall can hunt him down and get him.
True, but the main thing I'm thinking of is more of a coaching standpoint, where if you can limit the amount of possessions they have by slowing down the game, so they can't just be jacking up, shot after shot after shot. Slow them down, limit their possessions, make it so that you don't have to score as much. If they don't have as many opportunities to score, you can give yourself a better chance of winning the ball game. So,
I mean, let's just hope the Wizards can keep this going from here on out. I mean, they're 29-13. I mean, if they can keep this going, we could be potentially having an NBA Finals in Washington.
I mean, I'm calling it right now. They're not falling below 4th place.
And who would have thought?
I think they're gonna be top 2 throughout the whole season.
And who would have thought 5 years ago if you told someone, said, "Oh, you know who's gonna be the first team in DC to reach the finals? The Wizards." They probably look at you and call you stupid and crazy.
Yep.
Nah, you're absolutely right, Shipe.
I always told myself that the first team in DC, the next team to win a title in DC would be the Nationals. Potentially, it's right now, it's looking the Wizards or the Nationals. You know, I mean, no one believed in the Nationals 5 years ago when they had back-to-back 100-loss seasons. Now look at them and look at the Wizards. I mean, they had a couple years in a row. They had top 5 picks a couple years in a row. Now look at them. They're the the Wizards are almost following what the Nationals are doing. They're coming from the gutter and coming back on top right now.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they don't have Dan Schneider as their owner.
Well, maybe Danny Boy should learn from the learners.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't need to learn. He just needs to sell that team quickly and find an owner who will let the team do what they want to do.
I actually have a question
That'll
for you.
never happen.
I have a question for you too. They brought this up on a radio show I listened to. They said if you can get rid of Dan Snyder, but the only way to get rid of Dan Snyder is if the team moves to Los Angeles and you don't have a team in DC for 3 years, but in 3 years you get an expansion team with the new owner, no Dan Snyder, would you do it? Would you sacrifice football in 3 years for 3 years to get rid of Dan Snyder? Would you two do it?
Yes.
Yeah. as quick as his answer, yeah, I would do it too.
Well, I mean, the way that the Redskins are going right now, I think it's like,
I think every single Redskins fan wants Snyder out of there.
In those 3 years, what
He's,
team would
he's
you
trying
guys
to
root
compete
for?
with Jerry Jones, and it's not happening.
Sorry,
It's
Jerry
not gonna
Jones is a
happen.
smarter owner. I hate
And
to say
he
it.
just won. What was it? The executive personnel
Yep.
of the year.
oh wow.
Clearly, he's beating Snyder.
Who would you guys root for if you didn't have the Redskins here for 3 years?
Dare I say the Ravens? Dare I say that?
I would either go Seattle or Green Bay. Seattle because I love defensive teams, and then Green Bay. I've always been a Aaron Rodgers fan from California.
Brad, who would you root for?
I mean, if you're gonna throw me on the spot, I guess I'll quickly throw something together. I've always been a Niners fan since I was young. I always respected Jerry Rice and loved watching him as a receiver, and it was fun watching that team play. And I personally was a fan of Kaepernick, and I guess I would maybe say the Niners.
Staying on the top of the Redskins, I guess we can go a little area team football talk.
Please no.
It amazes me how the Redskins go through so many quarterbacks, but all these other teams will find gems in the 3rd and 4th round. I mean, you got Russell Wilson who went late, Colin Kaepernick who went late. I mean, it blows my mind that they've wasted all these picks on these top quarterbacks and nothing has panned out. But all these other teams are taking quarterbacks late and they're superstars. It amazes me.
You just gotta look at it like Alfred Morris, a college that nobody knew of or heard of, and he more hardworking than all the quarterbacks combined. You had Colt McCoy, who at Texas he had an okay career, and then couldn't cut it in Cleveland. You had Kirk Cousins, who had a heck of a college career, and then you have RG3, who was he had an injury history. He won Heisman. I was like, that's college. I mean, look at all the Heismans that have won and gone into the NFL that have had good careers.
Can we all agree about, speaking of Aaron Rodgers, what really helped him out was probably sitting behind Brett Favre for those years? I think he learned a lot from Brett Favre, and I mean, he wasn't a guy who came in and started right away. I mean,
I think it was like 3 or 4 years before he got it.
4.
4, right? Favre wanted to delay his retirement.
There's a handful of quarterbacks that you'd probably want to be behind on the bench and have a quarterback in front of you, and Brett Favre is probably definitely one of them.
Yeah.
I'm sure it would have been a different career for him if he didn't sit behind him for that long.
I think it's Go ahead.
Matt, I got something for you.
Yeah.
Keep this one on your radar. You look at Rodgers and his skill sets, sitting behind Favre, able to be mentored, and look at how successful he is now. You look at a guy like Garoppolo, who right now is behind Brady, learning things, and he's going to take over an organization that's extremely well run when Brady's gone. Look for this kid to really emerge himself. I think he's got similar skill sets to Rodgers, and with training that he's getting from Brady in that Patriots organization, look for him to be pretty successful. I'll go on a limb and say this kid could be something very, very special.
Well, it's like Ryan Mallett when he got traded to Houston. Everyone thought he was going to be good in Houston. I mean, he got hurt, but I'm really interested to see what Ryan Mallett does next year if he gets a chance in Houston, being behind Brady for those years.
That's true. That's interesting to see. Yeah, it's another story.
Y'all really want to be upset.
I'm interested to see what Peyton Manning's gonna do with his backup.
You guys had to pick behind the Packers. They took Aaron Rodgers. Who'd you all take with that pick? Do y'all know? I'm looking at it right now, and it's making me laugh.
Wait, what year was this?
2005. You were one
Uh,
pick away from Aaron Rodgers, and you didn't get him, so you all took Jason Campbell.
Best draft pick ever.
You could look back on a lot of stuff that the kids have done and laugh. So
I will give the Redskins some credit to where they do end up finding at least one or two people in the draft. I mean, last year they found Brashard Breeland, who turned out to be a very good draft pick. I think he'll take over the number 1, number 2 role. You know, once Hall is gone, but Emerson he just fell apart this year. I don't know what happened. I mean, Emerson they thought was going to be the guy to take over for D'Angelo Hall, and he just wasn't that guy.
I mean, we got holes everywhere. Like this year is just a scratch. No one was able to play their best because no one was playing their best. I mean, everyone on the team wasn't playing to their full potential, and so it's not like you could pick up a down man this year. You know, I'll go out on a limb and say that none of our guys had a really good year. If there's anyone I can think of that had a good year, it would have to be Kerrigan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's the only guy. Well, this is specifically on the defensive end. You know, but our safeties had very big problems giving up big plays. Even our cornerbacks. You know, you need to play as a unit, and no one brought their A game, and so everyone ended up being, you know, D or C looking players because you know no one was able to pick up anyone else's slack because everyone was slacking.
You know, it's funny you bring up Kerrigan. You know, he was probably the best player on that Redskins probably team, not just defense team. And you look at Arakpo, who thought everyone was going to have so much potential. Thank God you all didn't put the money out. But you know, the other thing I find funny about the Redskins is once a player leaves, they seem to do better. Carlos Rogers left, went to the 49ers, and couldn't catch a cold with the Redskins, but somehow led the league in interceptions a year after he left the Redskins. So, as a Titans fan, we need defensive help. I wouldn't mind Arakpo because seeing the track of what happened with the Redskins players when they leave, he'd probably have a career year with us.
I see
I
a
mean, he gets hurt all the time, so it's up to you,
yeah.
Shipe.
I see a Rock going to like the Raiders or something. They'll probably give him a lot of money.
I don't think he deserves to be paid.
No, I agree with you, but yeah, he had that one good year, and then downhill since then.
You know, it's funny. You know, you hear on the radio all these radio hosts say, "Oh, this guy has potential. He's young." You know, but it seems like Washington finds a way to screw up young talent. Like they somehow just take a player that has so much potential and just screw him up.
I'm tired of it. I'm done. I can't even watch the games anymore.
I've said that for like 10
I mean,
years.
what do you think? I mean, Brad, do you agree with that statement or no?
I do, and it's very frustrating as a Skins fan. I mean, you could give us Brady or Rodgers right now, and I guarantee we'll win 5 games. I mean, that's just the way losing it's become a thing for the Redskins. Sadly, we need to find either an owner, something. I mean, we've made a lot of changes this year, which is great. We need to find some way to make winning more of a mentality in DC and not losing, you know, such an okay thing. I feel like we're content with being losers, and it's not a good thing. It's disgusting, and as a fan, you're kind of just like, when is this bug gonna go away? You know, when are we gonna not like be sick and not be losers? When are we gonna start saying, hey, look, we're the Redskins. Let's go out there and win football games. Everybody, not just RG3 in the public, not just whomever, Arakpo. You know, let's make this a unit. Let's make winning a habit. Let's bring back some kind of pride to the DC area and the Skins. But you don't see it right now. You just don't.
In your two's opinion, who's the starting quarterback? Week 1.
RG.
That's a tough one. I mean, I love RG3, but I followed Kirk Cousins ever since college. I just think he gives us a better chance, but if he can read the defenses better, because a couple of those passes that he threw him right to the safety or corner. If he can read the defenses, I will have him as the starter.
Yeah, I mean, now you guys have the 5th pick in the draft. As Redskins fans, all 3 of you, especially Guillermo and Brad, who do you guys want them to take at that 5th pick? Not in terms of players, but in terms of positions. What do you guys want them to take? If you were the GM or the owner, what position do you guys want on your team? Don't go with who's the best player in the draft. Go with what you guys need. First, let's go with you, Brad.
Defensive back. It sickens me that we give up so many big plays through the air. This is a passing league. The way you win Super Bowls is by making it not a passing league. You look at Seattle. They have the best secondary in the NFL. They win Super Bowls. And their offense is, let's just say, bad. We saw them play against Green Bay. Their offense is bad. But guess what? This is a passing league. So, and Cleveland is doing the same thing. Their secondary is going to be incredible because they're putting together a great defensive secondary between Hayden and some of their other pickups that they had this year. They're going to be in very good shape to stop people from passing. So the Skins have to get on this kind of boat, in my opinion, and this kind of trend, which is take defensive backs because it's a stud quarterback run league. So if you can shut down their stud, you can take control of the game. So I want us to take defensive backs.
Guillermo?
It's tough because, like Brad said, we got so many holes in our team. Corners, safeties, linebackers as well. I mean, Perry Riley had a good year, but he was made out to be the next London Fletcher to take over.
Robinson had a good year too. Keenan Robinson had a really good year.
Keenan had a good year too. I think offensive line. We just got to give RG3 or Kirk Cousins time to throw the ball and not have RG3 use his legs. Like that one game against Jacksonville, he used his legs and he ended up shattering his ankle. I think offensive line. Somebody on the opposite side of Trent Williams to help him out. I think the center's fine and the guards are good. And just tackles are things we need set.
All right. Now,
find that either.
For my team, I have the 2nd pick in the draft. Tennessee Titans, we had a horrible year. I mean, for God's sakes, we lost to the Redskins. You can't get any worse than that.
Yeah, you got a tougher decision now. I mean,
obviously you can.
I mean, for my team personally, I'm going to talk about them for a minute. Everyone's saying we should go Jameis Winston or Marcus Mariota. Me and Brad both agree. We watch SEC, on TV. They're the most watched college football conference TV. I love Zach Menberger. He's big. He's strong. He has a strong arm. I would like to let him go for a year. I think we need a defensive end for our team. Because running backs destroyed our team last year. DeMarco Murray destroyed us. Alfred Morris had runs on us. I think we need defensive players, my honesty. If we take Mariota or Winston, will I be upset? Maybe not. Maybe they'll pin out. But honestly, I want my team to get some defensive help because our defense, where you guys couldn't stop the pass, we couldn't stop the run. So it's like our defense are switched up. And speaking of the draft, number 1 pick, who do y'all think is going? Who do you think is going to be taken? Number 1. Let's go with you first, Brad.
Okay. Even though I think this kid could really get over some of his distractions, I'll say. I won't say mental problems, but Jameis Winston, I think, has the most put together skill set right now and ready to win right now. You look at his size, his ability to break down defenses, fitting balls in tight windows. His accuracy is very good. I think he's going to go number 1. But it's just a matter of can he get his head on straight and grow up, I guess, for lack of a better word, grow up and realize the talent that you are and the responsibility that goes along with being this great talent. I still think Jameis Winston will go number 1.
Guillermo?
Yeah, and I agree with you, Brad. I think Winston, out of him and Mariota, I think he's more football ready in a professional level. Pocket passer, he's better. And just on the divisions that he was in, ACC is like a defensive type. The Oregon's division, the SEC, there's no defense involved. They're blowing out teams like 66-0, 66-10 maybe. No defense involved whatsoever. I think Winston has the best chance to be the number one pick, just because it's football ready, IQ ready, and he's got the heart. He's got the heart to go out there and play every day. But I agree with you with his off-field issues. If he straighten them up, he should be a good quarterback in the future.
I agree with both of you. I mean, you can work on all field issues as long as you have the right coach, the right teammates. You can work on that. I think Winston will go number 1 to Tampa Bay, and he'll draw a crowd in Tampa Bay. I mean, he played at Florida State. I mean, it's almost basically right in your backyard. I mean, he'll draw a crowd. And then the question after that is, Tennessee would be the liable choice for Marcus Mariota if he would get selected in the first 3 pits. If Tennessee goes, like I hope, defensive player, Jacksonville, they don't need a quarterback. Oakland has Carr, they don't need a quarterback. The Redskins, God forbid they take Marcus Mariota.
I doubt it.
And then you come down to the Jets at number 6. And you're thinking Marcus Mariota could go to the Jets. But for some reason, the Jets would, of course, pass on Marcus Mariota and they take someone else, which I don't think they would. I think that's the liable choice for him would be the Jets and a quarterback.
I mean,
you're looking at him to potentially drop drastically if the Jets don't take him. Because you got, after the Jets, you're going to have the Bears. They don't need anyone. Falcons, no. Giants, no. Rams at number 10 could look at Marcus Mariota.
You have Davis and you have Hill.
You do.
I think Bradford, if he blows it up this year, if he gets injured again, I think he's done. And that's sad. That's a sad story. I think Bradford was one heck of a quarterback.
What do you think about
injury
that?
prone?
Brad, what do you think about that if the Jets pass on him, the Rams at number 10 looking at Marcus Mariota for a quarterback?
Let me dissect the Rams. The Rams are a very good defensive team. Obviously, that they elevated their play on the defensive end this year, showing that even when their offense has their quarterback go out, Stacy isn't running the way he's supposed to, that they can still keep their team in football games. But will Mariota really help them that much? I mean, Davis looked pretty good, and he's young. He had signs of greatness, and he's young. I don't think Mariota would be a bad pick for them at that spot, but I think they can get more for their team if they go in another direction. I think quarterback isn't necessarily their biggest issue. I think they do need some offensive line help. I would go in that direction. I think that's more beneficial to their organization than having another quarterback.
Problem is if the Rams or the Jets don't take him, there's really no one else that I can think of taking someone. But a dark horse for a quarterback in the first round that I've been reading reports about, first, second, third round, are the Saints. The Saints have already came out in public, said they're looking for their replacement for Drew Brees. Drew Brees is winding down his career. We all saw that in his play last year.
Yeah.
And they're looking for a replacement for him to start developing someone. Could the Saints take someone like a Marcus Mariota in the first round, have him sit behind Drew Brees for the next 2 or 3 years, and develop into a top quarterback in the league? Could the Saints do that, and would that benefit Marcus Mariota if a team like that would take him in the first round?
What pick is the Saints?
They're at 13. I mean, what are your 2 thoughts of that? I mean, the Saints have already come out and said they want to start developing for a future quarterback, and could Mariota be that future? Because he's not going to play right away with the Saints, obviously. He'll sit behind Brees. And could that be like a Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre type of situation?
I mean, I could see. I mean, the past couple of drafts, I could see Mariota like in the top 20. Like he'll fall drastically into the draft line. Did that with Geno Smith. Did that with was that one quarterback that was like sitting there for like a long time in the
Bridgewater.
waiting. Bridgewater, there was another one. And then you had another 2 quarterbacks that were highly like put up there to do good in the NFL, and they just got drafted like 22nd, I think, or 25th or something like that. It wouldn't be a bad pick to put him in Drew Brees' shoes. I mean, Drew Brees is I think 4 inches smaller than he is, or 5 inches. He can like look over the offensive line. Just you got to get him into a pocket passer like Brees was. I think Mariota needs to work on that first. I think they're gonna if they draft him, I mean they can work with him on that. They can learn from Drew Brees, who's one of the best.
How tall is that dude?
Mariota, I think he's like what 5'11", 6 foot.
No, he's like 6'2". He's tall.
Yeah.
He's around there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Brad, what do you think about that idea for the Saints?
Let's see. If I'm the Saints and I look back on my season, wow, we were horrible. But wait, we almost won our division, even though we were absolutely terrible. So I see no reason to not take this stud kid at that spot, because even though you were pretty bad this year, your division isn't anything that you can't possibly go out and win next year with not realistically adding anything.
Yeah.
I think it would be foolish of them to not take him at that spot, because they can put together the same exact team that they had this year and win 1 or 2 more games and go to the playoffs. So if I was them, I think it would be absolutely wrong to pass on that kid at that spot. There's no reason to address anything else on your team, because that division isn't offering much competition against you.
By the way, Mariota's 6'4".
6'4".
Yeah.
Yeah. So, he's a
So
big dude.
if you see him drop, you don't see him dropping past the Saints. Then
Well, here's the other thing with the Saints. I mean, Drew Brees, how many hits has he taken?
a lot.
I mean, this year, but past few years,
Not that
he's
many.
barely got touched.
Because he gets it out quick.
He's basically like Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning gets it out as quick as possible and doesn't get hit to prolong his career. I think the Saints need to go defense, because they had one of the worst defenses, and to still almost win a division, like Brad said, to win a division with a terrible defense and an average offense. I think they need to go defense first.
See, but Guillermo, do you not think they can maybe get some kind of impact defensive player with their second pick? Do you think it would be that much bigger to get someone at 13? Is there that much better of a defensive player than something you can get in the second round? I mean, if you look at Mariota versus a second round quarterback, I'd say that gap is going to be a lot bigger than possibly the defensive player that you're going after in the first round and in the second round. So, I mean, you have to weigh that option. I mean,
Yeah, I mean that's a huge thing to go through, but I don't know. I mean, there's so much talk about Mariota not football ready and everything, and like coming off a Heisman. I mean, the last one to do that was what, RG3. He had a good rookie year, and then like downhill. Hasn't been the same since. I know where you're coming from. I think Mariota is the best thing, and yeah, they'll have to be stupid not to pick him up as a replacement for Drew Brees. I just see they need like as much help as on the defensive side as they do with the future of who's running the offense.
you're right. They do need some big time defensive help.
I mean, just look at Rob Ryan and his face.
I just don't see, if Mariota's there at that pick, I don't see them passing up on him, because I just feel like if you give him the time to develop, he could probably potentially be one of the best quarterbacks with his mobility. I think he's a quarterback that can't start right away. Mariota can't come in and just start.
No, he'll
You
take
gotta
at
let him
least
sit.
couple, maybe 3 years, 4 years to learn the system and everything.
But then the next thing is, if that team passes on him, there's really nowhere else for him to go except for old Mr. Chip Kelly, who came out today and said that he's going to try to trade up to get Marcus Mariota.
Well, that'd be
the dumbest thing.
Yeah, the dumbest thing ever. I mean, you got a good quarterback in Nick Foles, and then you got the Sanchez as a good backup, and he fit that
He's a
system.
backup.
He fit that system. So I think they're set at quarterback for a couple years.
By the way, all you Mark Sanchez haters that are Jets fans, yeah, he basically just proved that it wasn't him. It was the Jets team that was not that good.
I think it was Rex Ryan.
Yeah, Reds. Well, we'll see what happens with Reds in Buffalo. I saw
That
someone made a joke that Rex Ryan thought Buffalo was for Buffalo Wild Wings and not for Buffalo Bills.
the John
That's
Caliendo.
why he went there.
The
Yeah.
Frank Caliendo thing. I'm gonna go with Buffalo. Wink.
Funny.
I think Buffalo's actually going to do pretty good this year with him. And they already had a good defense.
They
and now
have
with
a
him
good
in
defense. They have a good defense.
there. and they
Okay,
had-
but Shipe, let me ask you this. As a sports fan, wouldn't you be very interested to see a Philadelphia team with Chip Kelly and with Mariota? Like that
that would be a
fun.
storyline. That'd be a fun storyline
I
to
would love
cover.
it.
I mean, he's reunited with Chip Kelly, who knows what he can do, and I think that offense would actually fit Mariota's skill set since he's already run it.
Yeah, it'll be
I mean,
fast paced, and then you got another runner in Mariota.
How many quarterbacks come out of college and can go right back to an offense they were running in college? Not many. I mean, he's literally going to go to an NFL team where he doesn't.
He doesn't even need the playbook.
Chip
You know
Kelly's
it.
like, do you need the playbook? Nah, coach. I still got it from 2 years ago. I'm good.
It's still in my head. I got it. I'll lead you to undefeated season.
I think if somehow that could happen, I would become a little bit of a Philly fan just for the excitement. Not because I want to see them succeed, but just for the sheer fun, excitement, and up-pacedness that would go with that quarterback.
I think that would be a very dangerous team, to be honest with you, with him and his old system. It'd be a dangerous team, I think.
They're extremely. I mean, their defense proved that they can get a lot of turnovers. Special teams played at a high level. You know, it's a shame that Foles got hurt. Who knows if they would have been better or worse? I mean, you got to give Sanchez credit for coming in and giving a great effort. I mean, Sanchez had a great season. You know, Dallas played really well, enough to oust Philly in that one divisional game. So who knows what would have happened? But in terms of the way Philly is set up, defense is ready to play. Special teams is ready to play. Just a shame they weren't fully healthy on offense. Otherwise, who knows?
Well, we'll have to wait till next year. I mean, really, after the Super Bowl, the next big thing for the NFL is the draft for teams like the Redskins, for the Titans. We've been looking forward to that since week 10.
What was it? Countdown 100 days from right now?
It's 99.
99.
99 till the draft. And 1 month till pitchers and catchers report. So I'm looking more forward to pitchers and catchers.
Okay.
But, you know, it should be an interesting offseason. You know, the combine, I'm going to pay special attention to the combine and seeing who goes. You know, hopefully all these quarterbacks will go and not just the pro day, because I actually like watching them. The pro day, you really don't get to watch them much, but I like how the NFL Network covers the NFL combine. But we'll see what happens from there. I mean, April 30th, round 1, 99 days.
You think if Winston or Mariota got the invite to throw at the combine, would they? Or would they wait just for the pro days?
I hope they do. I don't like quarterbacks to skip the combine. I want to watch them throw. I don't want to.
You know, honestly, I think because it's not a sure thing, I would be thinking they want every opportunity to try and prove themselves, especially a guy like Mariota, who everyone's kind of wondering, you know, is it just your system that makes you so good? I would think they want to try and capitalize on those opportunities to prove their ability. So I would say yes.
Well, the combine's February 17th to the 23rd, so we'll find out. The Senior Bowl's coming up pretty soon, January 24th, so we'll see what goes on there. So, I mean, a lot of, not just the Super Bowl, but still a couple more big NFL dates until training camp next year. Got free agency coming around. There's going to be a lot of good free agents there on the market. We'll have to see who re-signs and who goes somewhere, so it's pretty exciting for the NFL.
Yeah, especially for the unrestricted free agents. You got names like Des Bryant and DeMarco Murray, who they have already said no, that they're not going to sign.
Julius Thomas.
They need their money. I think they deserve the money, especially Des.
For some reason, though, I still feel like with all the sports and all their free agency and all that stuff, for some reason I feel like baseball still excites me the more. I mean, like you just had, I feel like it's just, I don't know why. I love the winter meetings.
I don't know how people can say that, like, baseball is boring. Like, even to watch.
They have the best free agency, the best trade deadline.
Is baseball.
Yeah, I love it. Brad, what do you think about that?
I agree. I think baseball is a great sport. I know it loses a little pizzazz against the NBA and the NFL because there's not as much scoring. But in terms of like the game, if you respect the game and what it's all about, it's still incredible. It is still absolutely exciting to every extent. And going to baseball games is one of the greatest experiences that you can do as a sports fan. It's just so much fun going to baseball games.
I agree with you there.
Told you what, the best game I went to was the playoff game last year. The atmosphere is amazing. I mean,
it got cold that night, didn't it, Shipe?
It did towards the end.
I was there.
You went to game 1?
That wasn't at the 16 inning.
No. Game 1's when no. That was game 2.
How could that be game 2? We had home.
Yeah, game 1 and 2 were at home.
Oh, that was 2 at home. Yeah, okay.
You were at the 16-inning game?
Yes, I was at the 16.
Please tell me you were one of the fans that stayed through the whole thing.
I did.
Thank God.
I was in sandals and shorts, and it got down like 42 degrees. I was like, this is a bad idea.
I guess you didn't count on it to go that long?
What pissed me off was, I mean, you got a 16-inning game, and you leave after the 14th.
Oh,
You stay an extra 5 innings, but yeah, you're gonna leave after that.
not a
Yeah,
fan.
You
why?
gotta wait for another 2 innings.
There's no
To see
point.
something happen.
Stay.
Yeah.
You want to hear something funny though? At my game for game 1, there's some guy walking up and down the aisles in Seattle Seahawks gear. He has a 12th man little foam finger. He had a Richard Sherman jersey, hard hat. I'm like, what are you doing here, man? Why are you doing? I guess he did it just to get a laugh out of everyone, but it was just weird.
There's always fans like that. I mean,
It's not even-
it was Philly versus Washington that I went to. One dude had a Cowboys jersey on,
oh, yeah.
took it off, and he had an Eagles jersey under it. I'm like, how does that work? I mean,
It's like the guy who shows up the Redskins training camp wearing a Cowboys jersey. Like, what are you doing with yourself?
there always has
What
to
are
be
you doing?
that one guy. Like there was a guy with the Lions jersey, and then he had like a Green Bay jersey, and there was one guy at a training camp 2 years ago had an Adrian Peterson jersey. I'm like, where? I was like, we're in Washington, right? Virginia.
Did he have a kid with him?
No, he was walking
Okay.
by himself. I'm like,
Terrible. Terrible Shipe. Terrible.
All right, everyone. Well, I think that's what's going to do it for today. We had a great show. Paul, thanks for producing the show and everything you do, man. It's amazing what you've done today.
Yeah,
Thank you.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. I want to remind everybody that you can pick up the show on Stitcher. So www.stitcher.com and just search for the Shipe Sports Talk. And it'll pop right up. So add us and give us a review. And also on iTunes, you'll be able to pick up the show there as well. So give us a great review as well. I'm sure Matt and the rest of the guys will love it. Let's see the website, www.shipesportstalk.com. You can stream the podcast from there and pick up the RSS feed if you want to add it to your podcast, however you do that. So, but yeah.
And I just want to say that Paul runs all the streams. He runs all the websites. So a big thanks to him for being able to do all this. Also, thank to Brad for joining us through Skype from his work, I guess, kind of type thing.
Thank you guys. It was great being on the show, Shipe. Thank you.
And Guillermo, thank you for joining us today in studio.
Thank you for having me.
Our next show will be, we're going to change it up next week. We're going to start doing the shows on Thursday. So our show next week will be on Thursday at 6:45 p.m. Same time, different day. We'll be going over the Super Bowl preview. Maybe getting some more NBA, some more baseball talk if anything else happens. I mean, who knows? We could see some trades from now until then. So until then, everyone out there, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Have a great evening.